All right, welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. We are joined by a very special guest tonight, G.O. Parsons, the writer and, more importantly, the creator of Willy's Wonderland.
Thank you guys for having me so much.
Thanks for coming. We're very happy to have you. Of course, we have a ton of questions, as we were just talking about a little bit before we jumped on. We are fans of the film and excited to chat about it. But one of the things that we always start off with is, Gio, how did you get into film?
Yeah, well, let's see. In high school, I would always be making little movies with Sony camcorder on the high-8 digital tapes. And this is like before Final Cut Pro or any sort of editing software. So what I had to do was like shoot the movie in my head and then shoot it like physically. So I'd take the handy cam, I'd hit record, I'd shoot a scene, like I'd be the only actor in it, you know, doing my lines, and then I'd hit stop, and then I'd turn the camera around and then hit record again. And so I'm editing while I'm going. And I used to do movies like that throughout high school. So this is in like 99 to 2000 is when I got the camcorder. And then my friends got involved. We started doing little short movies. Eventually Final Cut Pro did come out, I think in like 2000 or right around that time. And that's when I started like editing those movies. And I would always like interrupt my high school classes to like show the films that I had done. So I would bring a VHS or my camcorder in, I'd hook it up to the big box TV. I'd make everybody watch that stuff. So that's kind of where like the love of film started back then, doing those short movies.
That's great. I feel like you kind of know at that point, if you're diving into making your own films in high school, you know that's the career you want, right?
It is, yeah. It's something that you want to go after, and you don't realize like when you go for it, the kind of battle it's going to be to get your first one made. Here we're talking like in 2021, and this was, 1999 when I started doing this stuff. It's definitely it's a battle.
Very good.
So, Gio, we mentioned off mic how much we absolutely loved Willy's Wonderland, and we really loved how, like, there's so many things to love about it, but one of them is just how nutty it is, and how it's just such a nutty movie. So what was the inspiration for it? Where did this come about?
Yeah, so I told you guys I'd done those short films, and then I transitioned into doing more theater, just plays. It was easier for me to get an audience doing plays, and I could run out theaters. So I was doing a bunch of plays, and eventually after one of the plays, a friend was like, hey, keep doing these. They're good showcases for you or for your acting, for your writing, but like you're going to have to write a movie to get anywhere. And so the inspiration was more desperation. It was like, I gotta figure out a way to just dig out of this theater rut and get into more of a movie rut. And so I decided to come up with like an idea for a movie, which was just as simple as possible. Like just do a horror movie, keep it in one place, keep it as cheap as possible, because I thought I was going to have to do all the filming myself, like the high school days pretty much. And I then thought like the best thing to do would be to do the ultimate B movie, because I love watching those B horror movies. They're like my favorite things. My cousins and I always get on the movie channel and like the search through Netflix or Hulu or the different apps to find like the worst movie we've never heard of, and then just adore watching it. So number one, I wanted to take that formula and then do the best one I absolutely could, like genetically engineered to be awesome. And then have the twist be that the villains, whoever they were at the time, just picked the wrong person to mess with, like from the very get-go of the movie. Like there's not a very, like, there is like, if you guys seen it, it doesn't, like, it's right out the gate, he's just wailing on the things. So that's what I kind of wanted. I always watch those movies like Freddy Krueger and Jason and Mike Myers, and like, why don't they just punch the guy once? Like, just what if he just caught him, like, before he put the knife into her chest, boom, and knocked him out? Like, what kind of movie would that be? So that was kind of the inspiration. And then it was more like, okay, well, keep it in one place. So I thought, well, what could be an interesting place? Like a family fun center would be cool. And then I didn't like the idea of like a dude just pounding human beings. That wouldn't be like necessarily funny. It needed to be something that we could all laugh at. And I remember two things. Ellen does these Easter bunny videos, like where they're like super like you see the kids and they're screaming because the Easter bunnies look so horrifying. So I was like, it'd be funny to beat those Easter bunnies up. And then I was thinking, like, I went to this place called Boomtown where they had animatronics like Chuck E. Cheese and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, let's put this all together. So all that went into the soup. And then that's where I created Willy's from.
You have officially ruined Chuck E. Cheese for a generation.
I know they went out of business because of me.
That is the exact reason. Yes, there was nothing else going on.
It was just me.
You mentioned the main character that shouldn't be messed with, and just perfectly named janitor. As I saw that in the credits, I loved it. This is played by this up and coming actor Nicolas Cage. We're hoping great things for him. What was it like to have Nicolas Cage all of a sudden drop into this role that, you're caring for this movie, you have this great screenplay and you've deconstructed it beautifully. What was it like to have someone like Nicolas Cage be playing that lead role?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel real. I guess is what I'd say. It doesn't feel real. It didn't feel real when he was reading the script, and it didn't feel real when he said yes or when I watched it. It just seems like some weird dream. Here's the thing about Nicolas Cage. Like, you know what? He's the kind of dude in high school when I was doing those Sony Handycam movies myself. He would have been the guy that came over to my house with me and was doing the role opposite. Like he's the kind of guy that would have just absolutely adored doing that. And he's somebody that like puts his heart into his soul into everything that he does. And that's why it was so cool to have him. Like you think about this, it's like, Willy's Wonderland didn't go through a casting process of 1,000 people looking for the janitor. I mean, it literally just went to him and he said yes, and that was it. So like, that was like, it doesn't get much awesomer than that. And to have him be, look, people don't understand. They think like I just like drove a dump truck of money to his house and said, you're the janitor and you don't get to do any lines or any of that kind of stuff. It never happened that way. Like he was the guy who protected the script from like day one. This is the guy that like, because we go through, you think about this movie, taking it to different financiers or trying to find money to raise again, to make the movie. But they're looking at it and they're like, well, none of this stuff makes any sense at all. Like this movie cannot be made. And Nick was the guy that was cool enough to be like, nope, it's going to be made exactly how it's done. And believe me, it's going to work. Like he was such a partner in the whole entire thing. So not only is he the best janitor there could ever be, but there could not be like a better producer for the movie. He was so cool.
That's incredible. That's such a great story to hear too. Was there ever any thought to adding lines when someone like Nick Cage jumps on, or was that always something you were sticking with?
When I had first written it for myself, I had a line in there when he battles like Willy at the end of the movie where he takes his Willy's Wonderland shirt and he just like rips it off and he's just jacked as could be and he goes like, come at me, bro. Like I had that in there to start and I really loved it. But then you know what? It's like I read it 1,000 times over the course of me trying to like get the movie made and I'd started to hate it. And so I just got rid of it before it went to Nick Cage. And so by the time it was sent to him, there was no lines in there. And I had a conversation just with everybody. We all had a talk of like, should the janitor have like an ultimate line at the end of it? But ultimately, Nicolas Cage said no. He's like, the janitor should only speak when he needs to talk. He doesn't need to talk. So the answer is no. All right. We stuck with him.
And that's one of the really neat things, I think, is because you're expecting that there's going to be that big line at the end. It's Nick Cage. He's going to say something. And when the movie ends and you realize, oh, no, he didn't say a word. It was just such a great realization.
I thought about it. Like, what's he going to say throughout the whole movie? Like, if I had to go back and rewrite it and give him lines, like, this place is haunted, Mr. Janitor. Oh, it is? Oh, my gosh. Like what could he talk about? He's nothing to say to anybody. So it's like, okay, it's all good.
There's this point where he grunted, and like just before he grunts, because he's talking to the other teenagers, and just before he grunts, I'm like, he's gonna say something. Oh no, he's not gonna say anything.
I did write in the script, he like grunts, sighs, and rolls his eyes a lot. I love the scene where like he cleans the whole bathroom and then he walks in, and in the bathroom it says like, "It's your birthday," written in blood on the mirror. And the gorilla starts talking trash to him, and he just takes his rag and he just like throws it down.
That was great.
Oh, I love that. After he spritzes and cleans up the blood, he throws it.
A man who is focused. We're gonna take a little deviation here because I have a question about the whole, when he's in the kitchen, pretty much after he kills each of them, and he goes in the kitchen and he's playing pinball, and the pinball gets a little more what's the word? He gets a little more excited about pinball as the film goes on. What was that all about? That whole focus?
Yeah, so it's a weird story how all that stuff happened. I met Nick Cage 20 years ago playing pinball in playing virtual tennis in Westwood. It was like we go to arcades, and when I was in college at UCLA, there's an arcade in Westwood. So I'd go there with my friends, and you'd play the different games. You'd put the quarters in, and with virtual tennis, if you won, you stayed on, and the loser had to put in 50 cents, or the next person up put in 50 cents. And it was like a Friday night, prime time. I'm playing, I won, and Nicolas Cage comes up. He's next, right? And it's like, whoa, he had taken his son there to play games, but here he was like, and and this is like 2001. So Nick Cage had just been like the star of the 90s. And here I am. Like, should I beat him at virtual tennis? Like, he sucks. Like, I can take this guy, and anyway, I end up beating him or whatever. And I just put that in the story just before I even knew he was going to be in there, that the janitor is playing arcade games and just to kind of relax and to have fun. And I always kind of remembered playing with Nicolas Cage and how much fun that was. But just to save money on the budget, we decided to, instead of him playing Pac-Man and the different games, we just made him play the pinball machine named after Willy's. And the more he played, the better he got at it until he eventually won. And that's kind of like what we put in for the breaks, which was an ad by Kevin that I thought was pretty brilliant, and ended up, being like an iconic part of the film. Yeah,
it was really cool. Let me ask too, when we're looking at the characters, I think that today you expect a lot of characters like, Willy and the rest of the crew are going to be CGI'd, and I know budget has a lot to do with that, but I also do think there's an authenticity that comes with the puppetry and the suits that we saw. Was that always something that you had intended or wanted?
Yeah. When Kevin came aboard to direct the movie, one of the conversations that we had from the get-go was, whatever budget that we have has to be put into the animatronics, because they have to look awesome. Like if they look just like a guy in a suit with his underwear hanging out, and you can kind of see his elbows and things, like, it's not going to be cool. Like, we have to figure out a way to make the greatest, like, evilest animatronic characters that we can. So that was always a big deal. And then as far as the CGI goes, it would just look like, for the budget that we had, any CGI would look way too cornball. It would have killed the whole movie. So we tried to take as much of that out as possible. There's a little bit in there, like the Aussie fight, you can kind of see it because we had to remove the puppeteer and move his neck and stuff like that. But for the most part, we wanted it to be completely practical. Oh, and everybody on board as far as like the animatronics was cool, except Aussie was such a headache because of all the removing the puppeteers and stuff we had to do. Like that, I'd say they hate that character. But the other 7 were just people in suits, and that was good.
That's so cool.
I have to wonder with this. There are so many tiny little things that I truly loved in this movie that were just hysterical. And I got to wonder what was on the page and what was on screen. So were there any improvisations made? Was there any interesting character choices? One of the small ones I can think of is him consistently changing his shirt so that he was wearing a clean one. And I love that it like made for this dutiful janitor that like made sure he had to have his uniform clean the whole time. And it was just probably one of the funniest things. But was there anything like that was just like, not on the page, but on the screen?
Nicolas Cage's dance when he wins the pinball game was definitely added. Like that was him. So he added that one for sure. We always had the t-shirts in there, I had the t-shirt in there, but you know what, when what wasn't in there that was added, which is brilliant, is like the animatronic gore, like when they cut off when they curb stomp Gus and stuff, and you know the oil goes everywhere. There wasn't much animatronic, there was zero animatronic gore in my original script. So when that was added, it made sense that he changes his t-shirt, one, just for continuity purposes, because it would be hard to match up all the blood and guts and stuff everywhere. So that was another good ad. The gore ad, the pinball ad that I already mentioned, as far as it changing from arcade games and stuff to the pinball machine, and then Nicolas Cage's dance. I think those are the three biggest ads from what was on the page.
And isn't it true that the Willy shirts sold out a few weeks ago?
Yeah, so the Willy shirts sold out, number one, Thursday night on February 11th, because the movie started out in Europe at midnight, and then it moved its way towards the East Coast, and they released it a little earlier than I thought it was going to be released. So it was like 7 o'clock at night on Thursdays when you could download it. And then I got on to like get my mom a shirt at like 9 o'clock, and I looked and they're all sold out. And I was like, this is insane. I'm like, every size is sold out. Yeah. And then they did another order of shirts, and those are all sold out. So like, it's been cool. It's been really cool just how many people want to get shirts and are want to be the janitor. And I know people are buying two of them because they want a clean one, and then they want one that they can throw a bunch of blood and oil and stuff on, which I actually think is like the better way to go. You know, just see somebody walking through an airport just covered in motor oil and blood with a Willy's Wonderland shirt on. Just give them a nod. That's awesome.
Airport might be a touch and go one. I don't know if I would do that.
Yeah, they might get sent to security. Yeah, get this guy out of here.
We shamefully were going to ask you for shirts, but if you can't get one for your mom, then I don't want to, I don't want to impose.
I have one small left, and I tried to put it on myself to see what it looked like, and no, it did not work. Hopefully, we'll get more. No, we'll get you some more. Yeah, we'll get everybody shirts. It's just like literally, it's just been an over. I have my one shirt. That's it, and I have the small that was sent to me. That's it.
Yeah, it was funny. We were online earlier this week looking at them, and of course the official website has them, but there's some, I guess, of course, like Etsy and stuff starts making their own. And I'm like, no, we're sticking with the main site. That's where we're going.
I've looked at that, like Etsy and Redbubble, and there is a whole underground community of people just creating their own Willy's Wonderland merchandise. It's just, it's wild. My brother-in-law got his own Willy's Wonderland VHS tape that somebody had like illegally made. So I think it's awesome. Cool. Very cool.
On that note, do you plan, or do you know if there's plans for a Blu-ray release?
Yeah, so Blu-ray is going to come out April 13th.
Okay.
So it's going to be at all the major chains, Walmart, Target, Amazon has it for pre-order right now. If anybody's listening, they want to get a Blu-ray pre-order, it's already up there. And then I know that they're working on kind of more merch stuff, some toy things like that. They're trying to get it off the ground. A lot of people ask me, hey, why isn't there more stuff? And I say to them, nobody really expected it. Maybe we wanted it, but we didn't expect it. And at the time, more important than the t-shirts or the merchandise or anything like that was actually getting the movie made and edited and shot and out. And so it's been like a whole process just to make that happen during the pandemic. It's weird. Editing a movie goes from like, everybody can get into the room and look at the cut and give notes on the stuff, to all of a sudden everybody's by themselves like we are right now in our own different apartments, having to watch one at a time. It just takes a lot longer than normal.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
So we talked about, or you talked about, all of the B movies you used to love to watch. Now, we could get a B movie recommendation, or what B movie was the most that influenced Willy's Wonderland, or the most similar, a good double feature with Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably Jack Frost, that one where the the snowman or the serial killer becomes a snowman and starts wasting people in town. Like, I love that movie. That's a great one to do with Willy's Wonderland. You know what? The other one I'll say that influenced Willy's Wonderland that people don't realize sort of is this movie called Bad Ben. Have you guys ever heard of that Nigel Bach did?
No.
Okay, let me tell you what Bad Ben is real quick. Bad Ben is a movie that was made by one man. That's it. Just one guy. His name is Nigel Bach. And he makes this. What happened is he makes this movie. He plans to do a movie with his friends in New Jersey. And the day that they're supposed to shoot it, all his friends bail on him and flake out. So he just goes, screw it, I'm going to do it myself. And he just uses his cell phone and then like security cameras at his house to make this whole movie. And in the movie, his house is haunted and he's just there by himself the whole time. But he it's so funny because he consistently gets in fights with all the ghosts. Like the ghost will like pull the ghost will move a chair like across the room, and he'll go and he'll pick up the chair angrily and like move it back into its position. And then the ghost will move the chair again and he'll be like, stop it. And so that influenced me because this guy who's doing the movie, and it was made for like $200. It is on Amazon Prime because he just put it up there. You can watch it. It's just him like literally getting into petty fights with the ghost. And I thought that was pretty funny too. It's very much like the janitor, just not a badass. He's just more of a complainer.
And I'm also seeing though,
toss that one in there.
I just did a quick search for it, and one of them is Bad Ben 6, The Way In.
Yeah, dude. Oh, the way in's a good one. Listen, I've seen all the Bad Bens. Believe me, it's awesome. And I think he just did Bad Ben Pandemic. Hey, man, like I give it up to that dude because like he, everybody flaked on him, and he was just like, I'm just going to do it myself. And literally, we're now 7 films in, and he's doing Bad Ben Pandemic. Good for him,
so
man.
Funny. That's great. Well, I guess on that note, number one, how has the reaction been? Is it as you expected? Where are we at with that? And then number two, do you see follow-ups potentially in the future?
Yeah, I think the reaction has been awesome, better than expected. I see a lot of people just like just a regular moviegoer, I'd say, just the general fan gives it high marks. They either give it like 9 or 10 stars or 1 star. And so if it's getting 9 or 10 stars or 1 stars, then I think we did it right. You know what I mean? Like if it was hitting consistently 5, that I screwed up. But 10 or 1 is perfect. So I think the fan reaction and just the reaction from people that like, I do get Twitters and Instagram messages all the time saying, oh, it's my favorite movie. Oh, my family and I watched it. We loved it and all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool that everybody kind of got it. There's a chance that people would watch that thing and just not get it and I'd be run out in a rail. But I think everybody got it. So that's been really cool. As far as the sequel goes, yeah, there's definitely possibilities. It's just a matter of like all the I's getting dotted and the T's getting crossed. And it's certainly possible. I think everybody that's involved with the movie, including, Nick in some ways want to, revisit the character, but it's just it's a matter of a lot of steps that have to be taken to make that happen. But yeah, I'm down. Kevin's down. Everybody's down. So.
And this is probably a dumb question, but I'm sure you have ideas of where you'd want to go.
Yeah, I have a lot of ideas. One of the things that I've been thinking about is just like, how do you do it? You know what I mean? There's like, how do you tell the same joke twice, but make it fresh? Do you take the janitor on a new adventure where he has to deal with a new ghost? Well, that would be kind of fun, but you have to kind of pay service to Willy and his crew because there's a lot of fans out there that want to see the animatronics back in action and get revenge. Those are all things that I've been thinking about. It's like, how do you do it correctly? And I think that if we couldn't figure it out, then we wouldn't do it. But it's just a matter of like, I literally have like a list of like 20 ideas of where he could do stuff. It's all kind of just which is the right one. I don't know.
Do like a Build-A-Bear workshop, and one of the options is a Willy bear or whatever.
Then those all come to light. Yeah, exactly.
Could you just see him like ripping like little bears or whatever apart?
That's a great idea.
Wiping stuffing off the shirt so that he has to put the next one on.
Yeah, right. That's great. Well, Gio, what else is next for you? Are you working on any other projects or anything that we should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I had written a bunch of stuff during and prior, and after I had finished the Willy's Wonderland script, I had just written a bunch of other stuff. So right now I'm trying to get a book off the ground. I'm trying to get that published. So that would be fun. It's called Subway Dwellers versus Barnyard Oddities. And it's those two unique groups battling for the soul of the universe. So that should be kind of fun. I wrote a movie about a treasure hunt in a haunted house. I'm trying to get that made. And so it's just like, it's like one project after the next. I think that anybody's out there that's inspiring to make movies and stuff, I think that don't quit at one, write your movie and then write your next movie and then write your third movie after that and keep writing them and have like a sack of movies that you can deliver when called upon, because just like you just asked me right now, if I just said nothing,
just hanging
you guys
out.
Got anything?
Rough, yeah. See you, bud.
May I suggest Nicolas Cage in the treasure hunt within the
I
house?
tried. I pitched it to him already. Believe me. That's who's the first guy I called.
Right. Sean, any other questions?
Oh boy, I guess the one I like to always ask is, what did you just recently watch that's amazing? What was the most recent watch that you absolutely loved?
Can you guys still hear me? Because I'm looking at myself and I am frozen solid. Okay,
we can hear you
got
solidly.
you,
It just
yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I don't know what's going on. This is an attractive shot of me. I'm looking at all my screen.
You look great.
Let's see. What did I watch recently that I had a really good time with? I'm just looking over at Almoya. Did we watch anything good recently? Oh, she's like, we watched Trading Places because she had never. We watched Coming to America and then Coming to America 2, and my wife Amoia was like, "Who are the bums in it? I don't understand." And I was like, "Oh, you've never seen that movie? Well, we got to watch that." So that was the most recent one that we watched the other night.
So you've watched every film in the universe, then? That's
Yeah. That was it. We finally hit number 158,000. It's got to be more than that. How many are there? Jeez, that's a good question to ask. Like, how many films exist in human history? It's got to be like in the millions.
Yeah, it's got to be crazy. How many good songs exist that are comparable to the birthday song or Willy's jingle?
I thought, and I found out previously, I guess birthday song is not. It's not copyrighted anymore, but at the time I thought it was. So that's where I was just like, okay, I'll come up with a different birthday song. And literally I came up with that song in about 4 seconds. It's your birthday. We want you to have fun. It's your birthday. So let's party, everyone. Okay, good. Matt, moving on.
I'm looking at the lyrics right now and it's just, how old are you today? Everyone at Willy's is holding you to stay. It's kind of
Oh my God.
So that's the thing. Actually, this guy MY, he came up with the melody and all the lyrics and that cool '80s tune that's in it. Give it up to that guy for putting on such an awesome soundtrack to go with everything.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
So Gio, books, movies, acting, theater, songwriting, man of many talents. We look forward to seeing what you have coming next, and definitely appreciate your time tonight.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate you guys.
Sounds great. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Well, that was Gio Parsons. Very happy to have him on. Great to chat with him. I'm sorry about the freezing, but hey, sometimes that happens when we're doing our streams, and we will be happy to catch up with Gio afterwards and thank him for everyone, because I know everyone enjoyed that as well. But what we're going to do is we are going to jump into the Guide to Movies podcast. And of course, we're going to have to go through the intro and stuff. And then we're going to dive into some of the news stories from this week just to have a little bit of fun, but probably a little bit shorter episode in terms of the content. But you ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I was just about to sing the birthday song again because now it's stuck in my head. Welcome to the Guide to Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. I am Joe. He is Sean. This is episode 37. Sean, how was that conversation with Gio?
That was so amazing. Like, he is just like this authentic, really cool guy. Like, I really enjoyed listening to him. And, it just made me love Willy's Wonderland all the more.
It really also kind of inspires you to, like, if you have an idea, right, just go for it. Because Gio just told us about Willy's number one, but then also the idea or the script for a treasure hunt in a haunted house, plus the book that he's working on, which are all just like crazy fun ideas. And he's like, yep, going for it.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He just really seems like someone who is doing it with a passion and all that stuff. But he is just going to be like, just do it right now, start working on it, and then sort of like, edit it along the way. But get it done, because otherwise, if you question yourself, it's just not going to work out.
It's so true. And I am going to pre-order Willy's Wonderland tonight on Blu-ray. So that's definitely going to be happening, just so everyone's aware.
Refreshing for a t-shirt. I really, I just need that t-shirt so bad.
All right, let's get into our top picks of the week. We agree on one of them and do not agree at all on the other one. My first one is Boss Level. This is the Frank Grillo starring Palm Springs-esque time loop film. It also stars Mel Gibson, still getting work. But this is kind of the time of Frank Grillo, by the way, because not only do we have this last week on Hulu, but Cosmic Sin with him and Bruce Willis is coming out this week. So good for him. He's got some crazy movies going on. But Boss Level was exactly what you expected it to be. I described it in my review sort of as he kills a lot of people and dies in a lot of different ways. That's essentially the movie. And I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, I saw people were kind of going crazy with their reviews. I don't know that I would go that high. Did I have as fun with it as I did with Willy's Wonderland? No. Willy's Wonderland, from beginning to end, I was just invested in having a blast. This one, some parts I could have done without, but it was fine. Sean, you had a different experience.
It was fun for me as well, but it was sort of kind of desperately trying to be like really cool, really fun, and really silly, to a point where Willy's Wonderland didn't try. It's just like, oh, this is just nuts. Like, but that, they kind of wanted to keep on saying, isn't this crazy, throughout all of Boss Level. And it started to get a little bit repetitive. I thought the performances were pretty tough. Frank Grillo, it doesn't work as a lead. He can beat me up, like he can beat me to a pulp. But like, I'm just, like, if he wanted to go that route, he could. But it really was just something where you just dislike him immediately and don't like him the whole time. And then when they try to get you to like him, it's like, no, I'm not really buying this. And it was just a really tough one, because these are the movies I root for. This is the kind of movie I would love. I mean, I especially love time loop movies, but this one, like, especially, it's like, oh, you could be fun with its action, and that's where it like stops for me. But I wish it could have been better, but it actively wanted me to dislike it at points. It felt like it was like, I don't know why, like, I'm taking this movie personal for some reason, but it's like it seemed like it just didn't want me to like it.
I honestly would love a Boss Level and Palm Springs crossover.
I mean, that would be great. Like, get those characters in this situation. Yes,
that would be hilarious. What did you watch that you enjoyed?
I watched quite a bit, but nothing compares to Raya and the Last Dragon, which we talked a little bit last about it, because you just saw it, and you were sort of saying, yeah, but it's pretty much on the level of Moana, and maybe it's better. And I did a little scoff eye roll, and now I might actually be on your side with this one. Mm-hmm. This one really, like, the animation is remarkable. It's the best animation that I've seen from the new line of Disney animation, and possibly even more, because
hands down.
The backgrounds are unbelievable, and that's not what people really notice most of the time, but they're unbelievable. The way they design the dragon is so good. I forget Awkwafina's dragon's character's name. I think like Sinu.
Sinu.
Oh, wow. I totally guessed on that. And the way they have her is not like, full blown, like dragon, full blown, like, like realistic hair or anything like that. They sort of design her like it's weird to say this, but like a Jim Henson Muppet character, where she's sort of just realistically in there and out, and she could poke her head in and out.
And I mean, Sisu is the name, by the way. Sisu.
Damn, I was off by one. The most impressive thing was probably the way that action was animated, and how when they fought hand-to-hand combat, you felt the blows. It was almost visceral. I'm like, it wasn't violent really, but it was like, this is a Disney movie. Like this is pretty intense. Oh man, I loved it. I loved every minute.
It was so good. I mean, I think anytime that Disney releases a movie, I get really nervous, because I'm like, oh, is this going to be the same old? And, in terms of sort of what you're going to see happening, in a Disney movie like this, like you know the trajectory. You basically know where you're going, right? But everything else is new, and Raya just takes that and I think really delivers one of the best movies in a while, Disney movies in a while.
I've thought about it, and I really, I want their. I mean, first of all, there was so much franchise, which is, that's Disney, whatever. Like, there's so much, like, just so much stuff they could do. But what I really want is that sword, and then I realized that would be a terrible thing to give kids. Is the sword that launches off into like a giant rope?
Cool.
It was so cool, but it would probably hurt a lot of children. But they need to get that for like adults only. Like, please.
It was really cool too when they ran the credits. The very first credit on there is Dan, and I'm going to forget his last name, but I spoke to Dan last year during the film festival, and he had done the short animated film with Nina West, the RuPaul's Drag Race drag queen from Columbus. And it was just so cool to like see him on there because he's just such a great guy to chat with. And, he had alluded to at that point that they were working from home. I mean, this was in August, right? And if you stick around with the credits for Raya long enough, there's a little blurb at the end of them that talks about how like this was the first film that had to be completed. And I think it says 400 different households or something.
Wow.
And it's so incredible to me. But
that's nuts. I can't believe that. And oh man, that's like kind of crazy. Like that to do that animation, like you're all very far apart and like we have trouble with Zoom meetings, but oh God.
Will it be nominated for Best Animated Feature for the Oscars?
I mean, a year from now, yes. Oh, that's tricky because it's a year from
still
now.
The window?
No, the window ended at the end of February.
Oh,
yeah,
well, that's stupid.
But
Onward's been in the awards mix
because that was 2020. It's that Onward, believe it or not, was still in 2020.
No, I totally, but that was early 2020. I mean, that was May.
Oh,
I think, right?
You're saying, yeah. So, yeah, pretty much. It was literally the last movie I saw in theaters. So it was early March even February.
Yeah.
I mean, and there could be a few reasons for that. It could be because, there were less animated movies or, they were all like digital and not received as well or not as popular. But it was great to see Onward on there. And yeah, I think Raya could definitely get on there because it's an animated feature we're talking about. We're not talking about like, a performance or a best picture situation. Those are a little bit trickier to get if you come out in the early months of the year. It's going to be interesting in general, though, because next year's Oscars, God help me, I'm talking about next year's Oscars, but next year's Oscars, that's going to be a 10-month period. And so I don't know if that's going to mean anything. It could mean nothing, but that could be something.
I feel like that would mean anything.
Yeah.
Because think of the number of movies that are going to come out in that 10-month period.
Exactly. But it will be interesting because now like March is technically the beginning of the year. So will those movies like not like be given as much attention because it's technically the beginning of the year? I think that's a silly argument. I don't think that's going to happen. But the 10-month thing, you're right. In the grand scheme, definitely not going to affect anything, but it just feels weird that it's just going to be the 2021 Oscars are going to be like just a 10-month year.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Also equally crazy is the length of your awards watch this week, which was incredible because I was skimming through it being like, man, he spent a lot of time on this, and you can tell it's all the stuff that's been ruminating in your head is what you threw in there. And I know you well enough to know that. But for those who don't know, you deliver an awesome awards watch column. Awards watch with Sean is what we call it every week, every Monday on GATMovies.com. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what this week's was?
I can really only tell you a little bit because if I try to go for specifics, we'll be here for 3 hours. I basically did the very, very ultra brave / foolhardy task of predicting all of the Oscar nominations. And so it was it's already, I've already realized that from some Critics' Choice Awards and everything that some of them are going to be very wrong. Just very quickly, I think Maria Bakalova is going to be on there. I predicted her as a possible surprise snub. But the issue I have here is that I'm going to be watching them next Monday. And so, I'm going to be reacting at that point to them and probably writing the column then. So, my column will be a little bit late next week, most likely end of Monday. Or maybe Tuesday. But shout out to my amazing fiance, Sam, who is also my editor, who saw that column and she said, "Are you freaking kidding me?" So she has to go through.
I got it. And I think when I told you, like, yeah, it looks good, I thought it was only the one page. And then I was going more through it. I was like, oh, man, he really went at it.
Yeah, I won't be doing that for I won't be doing a reaction for every single Oscar nomination coming in Monday, but I'll do a more overarching theme. I think would be better for everybody.
That's perfect. All right, let's jump into some of the news we have here. So, actually, some good news, dare I say? Do we have good news? Is that possible? We have spent the past year relaying the delays in films to all of you. And one of, or two movies are going to continue with that. So, sorry. But the Universal's F9, Fast and the Furious 9, Fast Saga 9, whatever the hell they're calling it. I can't keep up with this. I think it's going to space. So, space F9. It's been pushed back again, but not far. But it has abandoned Memorial Day 2021 to go to June 25th, 2021. So that's still releasing. Universal's Minions 2 has been pushed back a full year from July 2nd of this year to July 1 of next year. That was strange to me, but then I read that it's about ensuring that toy companies and all the other merchandise and the promotional efforts can all kind of get back to the level that they need for that movie to be successful. So that makes sense, right? There's a lot of toys and clothes and shit that goes with that.
It shows that there's like just so much more stakes to all this. We always just imagine the stakes are like, the films, the theater business, the film, like the entire the entirety of that movie, all the people that worked on it. But then there's that extra bonus of the Minions franchise, which, the Minions are like pretty much, I think 90% of their profit is franchise. I mean, when one of those things comes out, I think, don't they have like a giant building in LA that's just a Minion now? Like,
wouldn't surprise me. What's crazy, though, is I was thinking about this when we were talking to Gio earlier, because he was talking about merchandise. And it's crazy that merchandise can be such a big value for whether or not another film in a series gets made. So when you're talking about, will there be a Willy's Wonderland 2, or, will there be, for instance, we talked about this a while ago and you're going to laugh, but Power Rangers from 2017, it did really well with toys. So that was the only reason there was still a question for a while as to whether or not they would continue with that. So if toys are doing well and, the rest of the stuff that goes with it, think about Transformers, think about Marvel, think about DC. All that stuff plays into it.
They're not doing Cars for artistic expression. Like, the fourth Cars movie won't be because like we want to know what happens with Lightning McQueen and his very diverse character. Like, no, it's going to be.
Are you saying this because Luke's in the comments and he's about to launch about it?
Does he talk about Cars?
He loves Cars. He loves
Cars. Sorry, Luke.
But you know what I love is A Quiet Place 1, and we are getting A Quiet Place Part 2 earlier than expected. We'll be getting it on May 28th, 2021. So that's kind of nice after a full year delay. So I don't know if I could say earlier than expected, but that is actually Memorial Day weekend. And then interestingly, it's going to debut on Paramount Plus, which is the new streamer that was CBS All Access. 45 days later. So that's a small theatrical window of exclusivity, which is, just a sign of the changing times. And then Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway will now release on May 14th, 2021. Kids movie, it's going to do fine. That's how it is, especially with New York reopening and California likely reopening next week and stuff like that. So,
I mean, Peter Rabbit Runaway, let's just, instead of launching that on May 14th, let's launch it into the sun. But I think about, like, when it comes to A Quiet Place, this is going to be probably one of the biggest moments. And I am very excited. I'm very excited to see the movie, but I'm very excited to see what happens with this, because this is Memorial Day weekend. This is where a lot of people are going to be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be maybe the first moment. And that's probably why they moved it up. They said, I think based on how like things are going with all the vaccine checklists, I mean, for the first time ever, NPR Up First, the podcast I listened to about the news, didn't make me cry. And they were just, they were like, hey, this thing might actually end. We're going to be okay. And it's just like, okay, interesting. Now, but will there still be enough fear in there that people would say, well, a movie is the last thing we need to do? I mean, people like us, we're desperate to get into a movie theater, but for like most normal people, they're like, should we be doing this yet? And I hope the answer is yes, because I want it to succeed. But this will be the first like real huge trial of whether or not a movie can work in theaters. Tenet doesn't count.
Well, and you know what's crazy though? I would tend to agree with you on like people being maybe kind of hesitant or whatnot, but then you look at a film like Tom and Jerry that did like 13 million around that or something, which for pandemic time and limited theater openings is good. Raya only did 8 point whatever, but again, we're in pandemic times and it opened in a significantly less number of smaller number, I should say. I'm like, ooh, English is not working tonight. Significantly smaller number of theaters because Cinemark wasn't showing it. And I don't know the full story behind that, but Cinemark wasn't showing it for some reason. So, and also Regals aren't open, right? So it's kind of interesting how all that's working out. But I'm hopeful that theaters get back. I'm ready to roll into theaters and watch absolutely everything. I've been looking recently, like, oh, what can I see in theaters this weekend? And when I did it this past weekend, I'm like, these are still not anything I want to see. I saw all the new releases already. Shit.
That was my exact problem too. We're both double vaxxers. We're done. We got it done. And that's our thing. Yeah, that's our thing. We do. We always have done that. But yeah, I looked at the one theater open near me, and it's not even like it's not even like stuff like Chaos Walking that I'm just curious to see and stuff. Like it's literally like news of the world for its 8-month like run. It's just like I'm not gonna do that again. I mean,
I still haven't seen that. I need to see it.
Oh, come on now.
All right, next story here. I'm going to describe a movie, and you tell me if you know what movie it is. I'm not telling you if it's a new movie or not. Ready?
Do it.
A couple is swept out to sea and has to fight to survive a storm as well as swarming great white sharks while the husband is injured.
Open water.
That's exactly what I thought.
That's literally open water.
Even a little bit of what's it called? Adrift. I think it was Shailene Woodley and the guy from Hunger Games.
Oh,
I'm like, yeah.
Liam Hemsworth? Like what?
No. He played oh my god, that's gonna kill me. Sam Claflin.
There we go.
No, this is a new movie. So this time we have Alicia Silverstone and James Tupper from Big Little Lies. Who are, I think, away on their honeymoon. Their villa gets swept out to sea, and he's injured, and she has to fight off all these sharks. And it was filmed at Universal Studios in Orlando, which I think is kind of cool. But aside from that, like, here we go again.
Well, you didn't tell me this one has Alicia Silverstone. That changes everything. Or do you mean Alicia Silverstone, the voice of Braceface from the ABC Family hit show? Animated show? No,
I was thinking more Clueless, but
oh yeah, she was also in that. Yeah,
and she was also in Batman Forever. No, Batman and Robin.
Those are the same movie. Just like Open Water and what is this one called? If they call it Open Water, that's gutsy. I'd give them that.
It does have a name, and I don't think I put it in the news story.
That shows the importance.
Really pumped about it. Yeah, I did not. I will figure that out for you.
Wait, let me guess it.
No, you're not going to guess it. It's a French word.
Floater. Floater would be like a poop thing.
The requin. Requin.
Oh.
I think it means shark in French.
That'll fool them.
French to English. Shark. So anyway, that's happening.
That was this is thank God for Geo Parsons. Good Lord, what would we have talked about this week?
I keep thinking about different things. Like he should do I like my idea of the Build-A-Bear, of course, but also maybe a theme park where everyone comes alive and there's still some old Willy's shit in there, or what was the other one I was just thinking? Like a SeaWorld type park where the animals are also
I forgot to ask him about this. I knew it. But the energy drinks, and I need answers behind the energy drinks where he had to have one every like 2 hours or something. And by the way, if his watch alarm went off and then he went to have an energy drink, I would have like absolutely lost my mind. Like that would have been a solid bit. I understand why he wouldn't do that, but still. But no, man, maybe he could make a shark movie that would be interesting, but I don't know.
He should make like a Baby Shark-esque movie where it's like they just all. It's actually the song "Baby Shark." Don't like go get eaten or whatever. The song's really crazy.
Wait, that's part of the song there. Like,
there's something like that. It's like "Run Away."
like, like those are the extra verses. I never get past that. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes.
Paramount has been unable to get past the development stage with this next film, which is Star Trek. We had 3 Star Treks that were produced by J.J. Abrams' Bad Robots, and they starred Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto and Carl Urban and Zoe Saldana, and I enjoy these films, to be quite honest. And we've had rumors over the years of different directors jumping on board to tackle this. One was Quentin Tarantino, famously had an idea for it. And what we have learned is that the Star Trek Discovery writer Kalinda Vasquez is now on board to write the script with J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot producing. However, we don't know if this is still going to follow the same Kelvin timeline as the original 3 films, be a reboot, or be something completely different. I'm excited for this. Are you a Star Trek guy, Sean? We haven't really talked about Star Trek.
I think those movies are amazing. I obviously love the first one. Second one, I think, has some problems, but oh my goodness, did Star Trek Beyond just like return to form, and it was really a lot of fun. And I'm bummed it just sort of like stopped after that. And I would love for them to maybe continue that timeline, or it seems like maybe they want to try something fresh, even though I don't think like Beyond was received pretty favorably, I think, especially after like people weren't really digging into darkness, or maybe that was just me. But and so I think that it was on an upswing, and so it was strange to see how far it would go. Through the story, do we know about the cast? Is anyone still involved? Or that's gonna be tricky if they might want to do a whole new reboot thing. Then I mean, right now Paramount is like they have like, I think if I can count them in my head right now, there's 4 Star Trek series going on. I believe there's 2 that are kind of the main ones. They have the Below Deck animated series, which is just a fun little thing, and then Picard. I could be wrong about the amount of Star Trek series, but it seems like it's around that many, and so I don't know if they'll want to take off through those. I don't know if they'll want to keep this completely separate from literally everything. It could go in so many different ways.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I hope that they continue it. I know that there was a lot of talk before about some sort of time travel or whatnot, which would see Chris Hemsworth's character from the very first movie. He's obviously the father. Make him come in, and I'm sure Paramount wants that type of actor to regrace the franchise, because I think everyone in those movies has really hit it big since. So that would be really cool to see.
Well, it would be interesting because it's so fun because I just love Chris Hemsworth because it seems like he doesn't want to stop doing these big budget stuff. Like,
he does everything.
I'm sure the pay is good, but like you see so many actors saying like, okay, I'm done with this. I can't do this. I can't be this, character anymore. And Hemsworth is like, I don't know. This is fun. Let's keep going. Let's do more of this. Like, oh, right on, Hemsworth.
At the end of Endgame, everyone was like, we're retiring. We're done. And he's like, 4-4.
They all die and he gets on a spaceship with the Guardians.
It's a bye. Oh man. All right, so next story here. This is one near and dear to my heart. I'm very excited about this. Universal Pictures is developing a romantic comedy, rom-com if you will, called Bros, that will be co-written by and star Billy Eichner. This will be the first rom-com from a major studio following 2 gay men, which is a big to do for diversity and representation in film. But I really enjoy their the little blurb here about the film, because this is totally Billy Eichner behind it, and you can tell. Next summer, Universal Pictures proudly presents the first romantic comedy from a major studio about 2 gay men, maybe, possibly, probably stumbling towards love. Maybe. They're both very busy. So this is already slated for an August 22 release, but I love Billy Eichner, so I'm excited to see this.
I read it in Eichner's voice too. It's just like, like literally you could just hear him saying all of those things.
We're very busy.
It's like, I love him too. I think he is hysterical. I think he does so much behind the camera, and I think he's produced so much that like I really do like admire like where he's come from shouting at people on the street hysterically, but still
Yes.
like and then he's doing like all this other stuff. He brought in a divisive character at the end of Parks and Rec that people didn't love, but I thought was absolutely hysterical. And then he was also, as we talked about, I think last episode, he was the best part of the Lion King live action version. And I will, that's the only place where we'll agree in that movie. But like he was absolutely the best part. I'll be the negative Nelly for a second and be like, oh, it's 2021 and this is the first mainstream studio romantic comedy of it, and that like bothers me. What I mean, what am I gonna do about that? There's nothing we can do about it now. So, but that's still just is one of those upsetting stats that I hear about. But that is such a great thing because it's normalcy. Instead of, as Glenn Weldon says on NPR all the time, he's just like, I am so sick of watching a movie about two gay people and one of them dies of AIDS, or they are facing persecution, or, they like, or the romance is the center. What's great about this, and I don't know, but I truly think this might be a situation where the romance is not the center, or I should say, sorry, the romance is the center, but being gay is not going to be the center of it. It's not going to be a big deal based on like how I think Eichner writes and how that blurb is, which is just like very casual and blasé. I love all of that. And so I hope that that's what this is going to be. I'm so excited for this. Eichner is really funny and he's a really talented writer too. Yeah. So I'm in.
Did you ever watch Difficult People with him and Julie Klausner, I think is her name, on Hulu?
I think I watched a couple of episodes and I stopped because it got a little bit too real. I was just like, I think I'm kind of like these people. I had to stop and I was like, I may go back to it because I thought it was very funny as well.
And Billy on the Street, I always think of the Holiday episode with Amy Poehler when they're running around and he's like, oh, what's the baby's name? And they're like, Arrow. He's like, Arrow? No.
Yet the one I keep on constantly YouTubing and watching over and over again for some reason is him and John Oliver, where he asks gay people, have they heard of John Oliver? And he's right there. It's just, it's between Eichner being hysterical and high energy and Oliver just always loving to hate himself. And it's just the mix is perfect.
I think that's the one where he runs up to a guy. He goes, "You're gay, right?" And the guy goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah."
Excuse me? It's like, okay.
But back to your point about you, like it surprises you or it upsets you that it's 2021. Let's remember that Marvel didn't deliver a female-fronted superhero movie until the 21st movie in the cinematic universe, and we're only getting the second now. Are we getting it? Should Black Widow? I guess that's another story that we didn't. It's not a really big story, but today during the shareholder meeting, CEO Bob Chapek of Disney did say that they are still on track for a theatrical release of Black Widow on the 7th.
They did put it a date.
Yes, May 7th.
Okay. I was about to scream like, then put a date on this thing because like, what are we doing here? This is ridiculous.
Put a ring on it, Bob. Oh man. Well, dates don't really mean anything to some studios because Warner Brothers had a little incident yesterday. I don't know if you've heard about this. And my question is, was it an accident or was it a ploy to just drum up more interest and excitement? Because apparently it was up for about an hour. The story is that people, for some reason, 2 weeks in, were still trying to watch Tom and Jerry. And when they hit Tom and Jerry, this Zack Snyder's Justice League started playing. And about an hour, they got about an hour in. Or one guy on Twitter was really funny about it. He was like, I've never been a big superhero man or whatever, but he got an hour in and said he was enjoying himself. And then it just like slowly disintegrated and they lost the feed. So someone's totally getting fired. But just beware of spoilers out there because people have, when I was Googling something earlier, I saw that there's audio from the movie and stuff like that. And people are just trying to, be assholes. But
if I could get through every single Friday, the entire Friday with WandaVision from the people that get up at 3 a.m. on the East Coast to watch the damn episode, and then if I could like dodge and dip, duck, dive, and dodge through those spoilers, I think I'll be okay for the next, what is it now, week and a half, where I just wonder. So Justice League, they announced the titles of the episodes, but it's going to be one full movie, right?
It's one full movie. There's 6 chapter titles.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point of all that is, or what's going on with it, but
yeah. Okay.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I also I love to have this little think piece about how long did it take some people to realize that it was Justice League and not Tom and Jerry? Because I mean, if you're watching Tom and Jerry 2 weeks later, I don't know. I don't want to insult people's intelligence, but maybe they're just like Superman's in Tom and Jerry, and
I have this whole thought process of how did this happen? Is there a website or an internal site or whatever that they have to go in and check boxes, and they're like, okay, here's the title, here's the box to check, but for some reason Tom and Jerry was right above Zack Snyder's Justice League and they clicked the wrong box and it linked it to, what the hell? How do you do that? And there's of course some of the crazier, and I would argue the people that aren't necessarily involved in the Snyder Cut movement had been like, oh well, this is Warner Brothers trying to discredit Zach early, and I'm like, I don't understand how, because people online that did see it had positive things. But
yeah, it's like they're gonna discredit Zach by showing it. It's like
showing his movie finally.
That's a pretty solid insult to the man.
No, it's, I don't know. I've been reading the Release the Snyder Cut book, the story behind all of it, that Sean O'Connell, who I've talked with a few times on the podcast, but also at the film festival last year, he wrote it, and it's actually just a really good deep dive into what happened behind the scenes, but also some perspective on how Warner Brothers was trying to catch up with Marvel and sort of where all that went wrong. It's a good read. I highly recommend. Sean writes really well, and he writes for Cineblend, I'm sorry. And he very much writes in the style that you're used to if you ever read Sean O'Connell's pieces. So I do recommend that. Maybe I'll send it up to you because I know you love to read.
Yeah, I'm a big reader.
I have to just share this real quick.
Go.
I just got an email that says Ashanti and Tessa Brooks to star in Build-A-Bear Entertainment's live-action film Honey Girls. Build-A-Bear. That's been the through line of this episode.
If Parsons is involved, we get 10%. There's no way.
Funny. G.O. Parsons is on board. No kidding. Man, that's pretty funny though. How interesting.
That's great.
Sean, are you going to be watching the Snyder Cut?
I am, yeah. No, I'm really excited for it. It's one of these things where, first of all, you talked me into it. As people know, I'm not a big DCEU fan. I also am someone that doesn't know anything about any comics, but I do love comic book movies, and a lot of them. I've insulted Zack Snyder before, and I still maybe disagree with his style. Maybe it's a little bit too dramatic at times, but. What article? Who did the article? It wasn't Vanity Fair.
Variety. It was Vanity Fair.
Oh, it was Vanity Fair.
It was Vanity Fair.
The article on Vanity Fair. I think we've talked about it on here. We're just going to keep talking about it though, because it is. If nothing else gets you really excited for this, if nothing else gives you a little bit more perception of what's going on, it's easy to dunk on a director that sometimes makes goofy choices with his styles, but this was way more than I thought it ever was. This is going to be a totally different movie, a totally new movie. And if anything else, it's just going to be fun and interesting to see what the other director can have. I'm still worried about it being a little bit rough. There's a part of me that is worried about me not knowing what's going on at times because I'm just not a comic book guy. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to correct a lot of the stuff that I really wanted to see. I mean, we talked about it off mic, where it was Ray Fisher and Cyborg. That was the character I loved the most in Justice League, and he was in the movie for about 13 seconds. And so I really am hoping, and this one, he's the center. He's really going to be the center of it, and I'm really excited to see what that does. And so there's so much about it that I can be hopeful about. I'm not really jazzed about 4 hours, but it'll be. It could be an awesome 4 hours. I only complain about runtime if it loses me, and so I don't know if it will. I'm very excited.
Well, Boss Level was about an hour and 20 minutes, so if you struggled with that,
I did. Well, Boss Level ended at the end of the second act. Like, it's like, okay, you have to make it through this final day. Ending. I just spoiled it for people, and I don't even care. That was a rough ending. I was like, wait, what? I don't want to watch any more of this, but that's not.
I actually like that ending.
You like it?
Anyway.
Wait, what was Naomi Watts doing in that movie, too? Like, that's just,
Oh.
Yeah, huh? How about that?
Yeah.
That was an interesting casting choice.
All right. Well, here we are.
Yep.
No, I'm very excited for Snyder Cut. I obviously have been excited about it for a while. I love the little previews they release for each of the characters. I think they're doing a great job marketing, or at least I think Zack Snyder's doing a great job marketing online. If you like that article, Sean, the book really elaborates on a lot of it, which is it's really fascinating. And it's whether you like DC or not, or agree with the style and whatever, it just shows you a broken studio that got cold feet, tried doing too much too fast, tried reversing course after they signed off on the direction their big director was going in, and just completely railroaded a lot of it. And of course, there's personal tragedy mixed in with it and all that. I don't know. Speaking of tragedy, Cherry comes out on Apple TV this week, so you can watch that. That was not a great movie.
I think I'm going to see that one. I don't know if I want to.
Cosmic Sin is also coming out this week. It is with Frank Grillo and Bruce Willis in the year 2524, 4 centuries after humans started colonizing the outer planets. Retired General James Ford gets called back into service after a hostile alien fleet attacks soldiers on a remote planet. The threat against mankind soon escalates into an interstellar war as Ford and a team of elite soldiers try to stop the imminent attack before it's too late. I love that. Kind of sounds like Halo, but I love that.
I don't know. I think I need to space out my Frank Grillo movies because I'm still scarred.
The other one that comes out this week is Honeydew. Strange cravings and hallucinations befall a young couple after seeking shelter in the home of an aging farmer and her peculiar son. Wow. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So there's that. All right, so a couple announcements real quick. Until the end of March, one thing that Sean and I have talked about doing for a while is getting merch going. We're not at the point where we have the fanciest merch in the world, but we do have a wonderful shirt that has this logo that you're seeing right now on it. Or if you're listening on the podcast networks, whatever image you see on your screen. There is a shirt that is available. The link will be in the bio. And you can purchase the shirt for $19.99. The cost of the shirt is $14.99 plus the $5 profit. All profit is going towards the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. One of the reasons we wanted to do this is because mental health has been such a challenging aspect of our lives for the past year in particular. But in general, mental health is just something I think we all need to pay attention to more. Sean and I both have people close to us that have dealt with mental health issues, and ourselves have had our own, mental health challenges and stuff. Not to put that out there, Sean, but I think we're
I'm very, very open about that. Don't worry.
So definitely, if you're interested, check that out. We are not pocketing any money.
Yeah, please. This is a very important cause for us. We'd love for you to look styling in that merch as well, but really, most importantly, we want to get some money to that charity, which is one that's very important to the two of us, and is the one I believe that is also going to the profits are going to the Zack Snyder Justice League. Or sorry, wait, I'm saying this in a weird sentence.
Zack Snyder's, they've been raising money for that organization as well.
Yes.
Because it is a wide-stretching organization that does provide a lot of resources as well as help and crisis lines and things like that. So that the movement has been tied to that for a while. And then when Sean and I were talking about which ones we wanted to support, just kind of made sense to help boost that up a little bit. On a happier note, Thursday night is Trivia Night with Guy at the Movies and the Chumps. This is the Disney Channel Original Movie Edition at 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Switch. It was supposed to happen last week. There were some difficulties that resulted in it being delayed until this week, but that should be a lot of fun. Disney Channel Original Movies, putting these questions together is bringing me back.
Oh, that had to be so much fun to explore that.
A blast. It's an absolute blast. Sean, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Math Teacher Movies. I do Monologue Mondays, What the Oscars Got Wrong Wednesdays, and Final Shot Fridays. I review movies of old and new. I review TV shows of old and new. And also I have a column on GuyAtTheMovies.com that will normally appear on Mondays, except for next week when I'm covering the Oscar nominations. But it is called Awards Watch with Sean.
Nice. And you can catch me at GuyAtTheMovies.com or Guy at the Movies on Instagram, Guy at the Movies 1 on Twitter, and of course YouTube and other social media. Just search for Guy at the Movies. I do want to highlight some of the features. As Sean just mentioned, he does do Awards Watch with Sean on Mondays. On Wednesdays, Jaron from Jaron Talks does Jaron Watches, where it is a video review that is unique for Guy at the Movies for 24 hours. And then he puts it on his page too, but it's all about the collaboration and stuff like that. So I'm really thankful to have him involved. Tomorrow he will be reviewing Son of the South, which a couple months ago I interviewed Mike C. Manning, and he was from the film The Call, and he's starring in that film as well. So that will be a very interesting one. Between Jaron and I, we're hoping to tackle a lot of films that maybe otherwise you wouldn't see on the mainstream channels. On Thursdays, we have weekend box office predictions from boxofficereport.com. On Sundays, we have the box office results analyzed. It's very interesting. And those posts are really going off the wall. It's really cool to see people interested in that. Because I've been a nerd about the box office for so long. And then on Fridays, we have a wonderful feature from Darren from Darren's Movie Reviews. He has been reviewing WandaVision for us. This Friday, he will have a preview of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then he will be doing The Falcon and the Winter Soldier reviews every Friday. And we're about to get into Marvel craziness again, Sean.
Oh, I can't wait for the insane reviews about, or insane theories about a little fun buddy cop.
That's something we need to talk about in the future. How everyone the people that are shitting on WandaVision because they're like, our theories didn't come through. I'm like, they literally told you originally it was about her. What it was set up to do. But you can listen to this anywhere that you get your podcasts. Please make sure that you are reviewing, commenting, rating, subscribing, whatever the terminology is on your platform of choice. We would love to hear more from you about what you like about the show, what you don't like, how good we look when we're doing this, and how great we sound. Sean, what do you want people to know?
Guys, we've been talking about it. We're so very close. Just we're so close and out of this. Just for the love of God, wear your masks. And if you're Texas, stay in your homes. Don't leave your homes at all. Just don't go outside at all. It's a zombie apocalypse in Texas. But anywhere else, just please wear masks all the time, everywhere. But then get vaccinated when you're allowed to, but please get vaccinated. Once we get the vaccinations done and we do the mask thing, we can be done with this. Come on. We're almost there. Just keep wearing masks. Get vaccinated when you can.
Sean, once we're at a more comfortable place this summer, I'm going to fly up and we'll go to a movie together for the first time.
That will be the perfect prediction. Yes, that will be the ultimate Guy at the Movies event.
We'll stream it from in there.
Put your phone down.
Do you want me to, before we end, do you want me to ask Gio for an explanation about the energy drinks? And if he can send over an audio clip, I'll attach it to the end of this podcast.
Oh, he will. That might be good then. Yeah, because I don't want to trouble him. But yeah, I'm sort of curious about what the energy drinks are all about. I forgot to ask it. I'm so mad.
Definitely will ask. Definitely. I actually had the same thought, and then it went out my head during that. But we got the pinball answer, which was really cool. I want to know if he has a pinball machine too.
There's so much stuff that I just want to have now. I don't know where I'd put a pinball machine, but I want a pinball. I can put it right here, probably. I want a Willy's Wonderland pinball machine desperately. I
just want a stuffed Willy. That sounds weird. No. I want a stuffed Willy's Wonderland doll.
Keep it in.
On that note, thank you.
You want a stuffed Willy the Weasel. That's what you say.
That's much better.
Yeah, right.
Third time's the charm. Sean, I'll see you next week.